What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of A Couple of Subs. I'm your host, Cody Crane. With me, as always, my lovely co-host, Kristen Crane, aka Kiki.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Couple of Subs. So we're going to be doing things a little differently today. I'm actually your host, and I'm going to be interviewing Cody and Ty Crane with FL Crane and Sons to finish the three-part mini-series of the story of FL Crane. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Kristen.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Ty, for taking a quick little 30 minutes out of your day. I know that you're going elk hunting tomorrow, and you've got a lot going on at work right now, trying to wrap up before you hit vacation. So thanks for diving in with us. So I'm just going to pick up right where we left off with your dad, I reckon. So, no, I'm not going to do that because we didn't really leave off anywhere. All right, so let's just dive right into this. So, all right, Ty, you go first. What was it like growing up in a family business?
That's a good question. I remember my dad, he coached me in most little league sports and stuff like that and always made time, but I can remember being gone for days and days, lots of trips, lots of out-of-town work, hustling, basically. And I remember he never brought construction home. So I didn't build a lot of stuff for my dad growing up or anything like that. He kind of left work at work. But then the day I turned 18, before that, growing up, my grandfather used to fly to job sites every day, probably 4 days a week. And I can remember being 7, 8 years old, flying with him, and he would never let me hang out in the pilot's lounge with Tony. He always made me go to the job site. And so I can remember going on job sites with a hard hat that was way too big for me, no safety glasses or anything like that back in those days. And walking job sites, I remember him getting up on scaffolding, showing guys how to use their tools correctly. But it was basically all over Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, just anywhere he went. He was bad to stop by and pick me up and take me during the summer. So I grew up exposed to a lot of that, but never actual construction work at home. It was different types of chores. And then the day I turned 18, or the summer I turned 18, they put me on the job site. They always had a way of finding the most difficult job and the most miserable job and put me on that. My first job, we were the general contractor for. Rarely do we ever a general contractor job, but this is a family friend that was building a big nursing home in Fulton. So I got out there the summer I turned 18, helping rough in plumbing. And then I helped tie rebar for the concrete, helped pour concrete, and then helped with the framing before I had to come back to school. So I learned everything from the rough end to layout and framing that summer. And I can remember my nose stayed blistered the entire summer, so I didn't wear sunscreen. I would come home with my work boots. They had sweat rings in them. It was so hot. It was just as hot of a summer as I could ever remember. And so that's how I started construction. And from there, every summer was a new crew, a new trade, whether it be that summer, and then interior framing and some hanging the next summer, flooring one summer, and just kind of built from there.
So you just got thrown to the wolves pretty much, huh?
Yeah.
That's the best.
I was the oldest grandchild. I'm the oldest grandchild in the family, so they didn't take it easy on me, and they didn't take it easy on Cody. But
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And then I guess they kind of got all their punches out before the rest of them came through. The rest of the grandkids had it pretty rough, but nothing like we did.
What about you, Cody? What about growing up for you?
Oh, a lot of the same with what Ty said. I can remember flying on those jobs with my granddad, Johnny, and we would always, you always knew you were going to go somewhere for lunch because you'd always take some of the guys out to lunch, and I'd get to sit there and listen to their stories about the job and all that. And I learned a lot as a young child like that, seeing the way he interacted with those guys out in the field. And it's just something that always stuck with me. And I love to go out there, and I love whenever I hear somebody goes, "Man, you're just like Johnny." It makes me feel good. And then of course, whenever I was old enough to start out in the field, um, well, I can back up. Even before that, I would pump gas during the summers and stuff there at the shop and help load up tools and things like that. But whenever I was old enough to go out in the field, a lot like Ty, they found the most miserable jobs that they could throw us on. I remember my first one in particular. I was working with Mike Waggle, and then it was Mike Green shortly after that, but doing floors. And we're demoing a school and putting all new floors down. And we had to leave at like 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the job site, and then get home, 6 in the evenings, because our foreman didn't work on Fridays, so we had to work long days. But I can remember, just scraping them floors, getting them ready for the flooring crews. And once they were clean enough to eat off of, you had to sweep them one more time. And then carrying tile boxes as quick as you could run because they were really fast at putting them down. And, being a crane, they like to make it a little harder on us too.
Oh, yeah, I would think.
But, it was good. It was a great learning experience. And I always just tried to be the hardest working guy out there because then they couldn't do anything but like you.
Yeah.
I remember one time on that first job site, they finally taught me how to cut in the corners, laying the floor down, and I sliced my finger. I'm talking about, it had to be to the bone. And I kind of looked up at my foreman, Mike, and I was squeezing my finger, and it was just gushing blood. And I thought he was going to be like, "Oh, man, you okay? You okay?" He got so pissed off at me. He said, "Get the hell out of here. You're bleeding on my floors." Like, they did not cut you any slack, but I really enjoyed it. Looking back now, I enjoyed it. And those summers followed through all the way through, all the way through college. And once I was done with college, I went back out in the field for probably 3 or so years. And I was down here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and Tim Beck was the division manager at the time. And he sent me an email or something. He said, "I want you to tell me what your goal for your career in this company is. I don't want you to tell me what your dad or your granddad or your brother, wants you to do. What do you want to do?" And I really thought about it for a while, and I don't think he expected it, but I listed out year by month for probably a 10-year period there of exactly what I wanted to accomplish. And I told him I wanted to work on every crew that we had. And before I'd leave that crew, I wanted to be good enough at the trade and know the guys good enough where I could run the crew and I could invite the guys over for a barbecue because I knew them so well. And that was a big part of just wanting to know the people.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was fortunate that I gained a lot of respect from those guys during that time. And it kind of bled over into now. And I still spend most of my time out in the field. So it's really helped me, in what I do in the company, because those guys, I've worked on their job sites with them, a lot of them.
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of always my thing was, being in the field around those guys. And that's just kind of been my niche and what I've really enjoyed doing.
Well, so did you know that, Ty, did you know that you always wanted to work at FL Crane, or growing up, did you, have another dream in mind for a career path?
Yeah, I had when I became president of the company, Jerry Maxey, who was at the time the president of Jesco, one of our preferred clients, one of our longest standing relationships, they actually a GC right down the road. But he
Mhm.
came up to me and said, you know, I'm married to your kindergarten teacher, and when you told her what you wanted to do when you grow up, you said that you were going to run FL Crane. So I guess it's been since I was 5 that I've always known, always wanted to be a part of what my grandfather and my dad created, or grandfather, and my dad, what
Yeah.
they created. But always wanted to be a part of that. I've always looked up to them and what they've accomplished, and so it's always been in my blood, and
Yeah.
glad to be where I'm at now.
What about you, Cody? Did you ever have something else that you wanted to do, or you always knew this was it?
I mean, besides being an astronaut or, something like that, like every kid wants to be at some point. No, I knew exactly where I was going to be at, and been blessed the whole time to be able to get to where we are. And yeah, that's where I wanted to be at for sure.
So I didn't know Jimmy, but I do know your granddad very well. And a lot of people say, most everybody says that you two are exactly like Jimmy and Johnny. You know, you're total opposites, but it works. So how do you feel like that y'all's differences have helped to benefit your roles at FL Crane?
So I'm borderline. If you had a scale with 0 being kind of neutral and introvert being the negative side and extrovert being positive side, I would be like a 1 on the extrovert, just barely across that line. Cody's a 10. So that's a lot how Jimmy and Johnny were. Jimmy liked to stay in the office. He liked processes, procedures. He liked the number side. And Johnny, my grandfather, loves people and loves interacting with the guys out in the field. And so I'm similar to Jimmy, which he was a little bit farther on the introverted scale than I am. But I still love people, but I love the function of the company and how the inner workings all come together and how you make the company as a whole successful. Cody has a knack for people that I just don't have. And so we've always worked well together in that aspect to where I can kind of keep the things in the office going. Got a really good rapport with our offices and the staff there. But the people in the field connect with Cody on a level that just, it's a natural thing that I love the guys in the field. I love working with them. I've got a lot of really good friends out there, but just for some reason, they connect with Cody so much faster than they connect with me. So it takes a little more work on my side. And so that's really where we thrive is in our own lanes. And Cody's lane is with those guys.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I couldn't have, said it any better than Ty. But the one thing that a lot of, I guess, people, families that work together, you got to kind of stay in your own lane, of course, but the amount of respect that I have for Ty and what he does, because there's, without a doubt, if he didn't do what he did, I would have to do that. And that's not my thing whatsoever. And, but it has to be done, and it's, detrimental to the success of the company. So if he wasn't in there doing the things that he does, I wouldn't be able to do the things I do. And, I believe we both know that about each other and are grateful for it. And, we're each other's biggest fans, really. Yeah. So, I mean, it really does. It works perfect. I couldn't think of a better scenario or a better partner to have to, to run a company with, for sure. He just happens to be my brother.
So much brotherly love over here.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, so how have y'all seen FL Crane evolve and grow since both of you took on management positions?
We've watched FL Crane do some wild things just growing up. I can remember Dad bringing plans home and working on them through the weekend, and that was really back in the casino era back in when they were building casinos in Tunica, and that's when it really took a big jump. And then we were both in college. We were actually roommates in college when the Great Recession hit. So we saw the nosedive of the company, and just, scraping and clawing to keep the guys busy. We lost a ton of money just to keep our guys working 40 hours a week. Just because that's the culture of the company. We want to take care of our people more than taking care of the company. We want our people to be able to feed their kids at night and go home and be able to pay the mortgage and keep the lights on. So we saw that, and right as we were coming out of college, things were kind of coming back alive. It was still really competitive, but we came into, I guess, the past 5 years trying to differentiate ourselves from the market, from what everybody else does. And so we've taken on a lot of prefabrication, off-site construction type work. We've developed frame CAD shops and got a stove panel shop, and really pushed our metal panel branch. And so a lot of the big differentiators that we were already doing a little bit of, but we really tried to just stand out. And over these past couple of years, we've really seen a big change in the way we go after work.
Yeah.
I kind of got lost halfway through that, so. Okay.
You're good.
Know that, and our technology is just, we're very innovative as a company, and technology's been one thing that we jumped on as early as possible. We have a whole division that's, they're the operations technology division, and those guys do amazing things and stay, on the leading edge of anything tech with construction. And Ty, he kind of came up with this frame CAD thing, and he's like, man, we're gonna make our own studs now. We're just gonna buy these cools and start making our own studs, and we're gonna build buildings off of a thumb drive, And a lot of people didn't understand it probably at the time, but Ty kind of got showing me this, and I thought it was awesome. So him bringing that to the table, I think we're just starting to see the how it's differentiating us in the industry, but we're just starting to see those really start to pay off. And I think it's got a lot to do with just understanding it and what it is and its capabilities, and the people we have to go and sell work to, the architects, owners. As we educate them a little bit more, it's really going to start to snowball.
So your dad had mentioned that the Superdome was like the job, back in his day that really helped FL Crane to go to the next level. What about right now for y'all? And in the recent years that y'all have been in management, what job has that been for you? It's just, next level.
Well, we've done several big jobs over the years. Our metal panel branch and one of our drywall branches got Navy Federal Credit Union 4 years ago, and it's just finishing up. It's a huge project for us in Pensacola, Florida. But the one that excites me, that's kind of been just kind of that dream job that we wanted to get, is the Tutwiler Dormitory at the University of Alabama with B.L. Harbert. That's the first job that we had done a couple of jobs with frame CAD, load bearing panelization jobs, and this job aligned perfectly. We went to the school, sold them on the process. It was still a hard bid number, so we had to be competitive, but we sold the process, got the job flipped from having to be a welded panel assembly to screwed panel assembly, and we have just been crushing the project. It's a 5-story dormitory. It's got 24 phases of panels that we're doing on it, and I think we're through about 14 phases right now. But it's all started with our operation technology team, like Cody was talking about, and it went down to our frame CAD shop in Fulton, where our younger cousin, Corey Payne, is running the shop, and they're putting out about 3 truckloads a week, sending them to the job site. We're standing up completed wall systems and rolling right along to the decking, and then they'll pour the concrete and we'll go up to the next floor. So it's been one of those jobs that things that, you know, we've hit our bumps, but we are ahead of schedule. The general contractor's pleased, the owner's pleased, the engineer of records pleased. So it's kind of one of those dream jobs that you hope to get the opportunity to go after, and we did.
Yeah.
It's been the most exciting one for me, for sure.
So I gotta just mention it. That was the job where they were really concerned about what we were gonna be, what all the numbers and the lettering on the side of the studs, all the print on there, what it meant, and this and that and the other. And I wasn't in that meeting, but I heard a little bit about it and saw the end product. What about that?
Yeah, it's a requirement that your certification number that states that we are a certified stud manufacturing facility. That number, the gauge of the stud itself and the dimensions of the stud, that nomenclature has to be on a stud prior to going on a job site. And the owner's rep, the project management team for the University of Alabama was kind of concerned about that. And we're like, you know, can you do all this? Will all of it be on there? Will it be the same quality stud? Can you ensure that, you know, we pass all inspections as if you were to use, you know, a name brand stud? And we told them, we'll put Roll Tide on studs if you want us to. So their first trip to the facility, when they were actually inspecting the panels that were going to their job site, we had Roll Tide printed on every stud.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It hurt me to put that on there, but they were too.
They ended up asking us for like little mock-up walls so they could put them in their office that all said Roll Tide on them.
I bet. That's funny. Well, what have been some of like the biggest speed bumps or challenges that both of y'all have faced since becoming, you know, Ty, your president, and Cody, vice president? Tell me a little bit about that.
Cody, you want to go first? Or?
Well, you know, like we were talking about earlier, my passion's out there in the field with those guys and staying on the road, traveling. And with this COVID pandemic, that's really kind of slowed me down from what job sites I can go to or how many guys I can see at one time. And it's really kind of been a bummer for the last while since the pandemic started. That's been a challenge. And then also trying to educate people on what all this prefabricated systems and FranCAD and what it is and how it can work. It's really hard to get people to grasp that concept just because they're afraid of it. So I've been spending a good bit of time on that as well. But really those two things have been major challenges so far, but nothing that we haven't, you know, dealt with and kept moving.
Yeah. Yeah. So fortunately, Cody and I have both been blessed with incredible mentors, whether it be our grandfather, our dad, our uncle, Kevin Payne, Mike Herring, who recently retired. And that's actually whose spot I took as president, Mike, when he retired. And I think it was 1 month after he retired, we lost a member of the family, a member of the team. He was the branch manager of Fulton Drywall Division. And he unfortunately passed away, but he had set up an incredible team to take over. But we had to deal with that right as I became president. And so Mike came back in. He was a part of it all, even though he was retired, because, like I say, FL Crane is one big family. So that was a really, really hard scenario to navigate through, a really just a sad time. And we thought we got our head above the water with that, still in mourning, but getting things back on track, and then COVID hit. So My first year has been a roller coaster, and I had a little boy too, all in the same time. So little Johnny. So we we've had a roller coaster, but with the mentors that I've had, luckily my grandfather comes in the office every day. Dad's still here, and Kevin Payne, he made it through. He's been with us about 25 years, I believe, or maybe no longer than that. He's been through the ups of the casinos and then through the Great Recession as well. So he's got a lot of really valuable insight there. Another one that as soon as I took over as president, we brought in as one of our vice presidents to the corporate side was Robert Abney. He has been through all the same events, just an absolutely incredible division manager, and now from an operations side, I don't know that we could find anybody in the country better. He's absolutely incredible as well. So having Kevin and Robert on the corporate team really makes my life, Cody's life, a lot easier. And then we just a year ago, or 5 years ago now, we brought Mike's son Jonathan in as our risk management officer. So he's really helped us through this pandemic. And right when we got FrameCAD, a banker buddy of mine that had a sales background, everybody kind of questioned why I wanted to hire him, just because we'd never had a dedicated business development guy. But I hired Jim McCullough, and it was one of our best hires we've made in recent history. So we've got a couple of rock stars rounding out the corporate team, and we've just really had some good thoughts, some good sessions of planning and just navigating this whole pandemic. The whole, I guess, 2019 and 2020 kind of mixed in. It's been a roller coaster, but we've had a really good team in place to take it on.
Yeah, and I remember whenever I interviewed y'all for back in season 1, the COVID, right when it hit that episode and how y'all were dealing with things. That's one of the things you said. You were like, all this is just piling in. That's what separates leaders is not to freak out and just stay strong and just keep calm. And so I'd say that both of y'all have done that really well, for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think that the pandemic would be what it is. I thought it was going to be a short-lived, a flu-like deal that really scared everybody, but was kind of over. And I never imagined that it would last through September now. So never imagined it would last like 6 months.
Yeah.
And still going. So we have no idea what's going to happen. But luckily, all our branch managers, the corporate team, they've been able to navigate the waters, and then we've got some really strong field guys that are just not going to fail. So it's been a blessing.
Let me ask you this. I know that these older employees, these guys that have been with your granddad and y'all's dad for all these years, they've watched you literally grow up. Like they've seen you as babies, and now, now you're their president and vice president. How is that? Have y'all received any like pushback from that, or has it been, very supportive, or how have you proved yourself, to them, if you will?
Go ahead, Cody.
Well, I'm sure the answer would be completely different for Ty and I, as our roles are completely different in the company and what we do and what those guys see us do and how they perceive us. I've always just tried to be the hardest working one in any part that I've done, just because, that's kind of what you have to do. And how I grew up. And I really never thought a lot about it as far as how I was perceived, just because I knew to myself that I was doing the best I could. But there was one time, Ray Pruitt, actually. I guess, I grew up and I was a little wild child for sure. And like you said, they saw us growing up and this and that. And he kind of pulled me to the side one night after a division managers meeting, and we're drinking a cold beer, just hanging out. And he said, man, I'll tell you what, Cody. He said, I knew whenever Ty came in, we were going to be getting a smart dude and, this and that and other. And then whenever you came in, all I could think about was how you were as like a kid, just being wild as hell.
Mhm.
So he said, I really didn't know what to think, and it kind of worried me a little bit just because I knew you were a crazy kid. And he said, what I've seen you do and the respect I've seen you earn with these guys over the last few years, he said, I couldn't be more pleased. And, he just really pumped me up and told me I was doing a great job, and he had a lot of respect for me. And but he didn't really expect for it to work like that in the beginning, and he kind of told me I proved him wrong. But other than that, that was good feedback to me, actually.
Yeah.
But I've received a lot of positive feedback. Like you said, people tell me all the time I'm like Johnny and Ty's like Jimmy-ish, and the way we work together as a team just really, it works, and the company has seen it in the past. And I think the mentality they have about me and Ty working together as a team is kind of exciting them, because they've seen it before and they've seen what it did, and they kind of feel like they see that again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like they're excited about it. Really got a lot of positive feedback.
Good. Ty?
Yeah. I grew up roaming the halls of FL Crane from like the time I was a toddler. So they had just built a new corporate office, and the actual Fulton branch was still intertangled with in the same building, same hallways. And so from the time I was old enough to walk, Cody the same, we were running up and down the halls after school, annoying everybody, stealing people's gum out of their desk and stuff like that. And, I remember Chip Mack, our branch president in Jackson, he was fresh out of college and training to be an estimator in Fulton. And just the other day, he told me, he said, I remember thinking as you were running up and down the halls, that little brat's going to be my boss one day. And he told me this like last week, but he said, I'm honestly thrilled that we're working together now. He said, I'm confident in the way the company's going, the direction of the company, and I appreciate your vision and where you want to go, and I'm on board. And we're all behind you. It meant a ton. I've always, had that target on my back of, I'm Johnny Crane's grandson, Chip Crane's son, and they don't know how to work hard, whatever, all the stigma that you get with being a generational company. But I worked just like Cody, always tried to make a point to prove that I can work as hard as anybody else is going to out there. I'm going to put in the hours. I'll put in the extra time because it means a lot to me. So for him to validate that and say that, he's got my back, he's on board and excited to be working with me, that meant a lot. But so yeah, I've gotten some feedback like that from the guys, and it seems like everybody's accepted our roles and excited to be working with Crane family members that truly want to be a part of this company and want to drive it in a good direction.
Well, what are some like game-changing decisions that you two have had to make recently?
We probably touched on a lot of that. Ty, bringing in the frame CAD, us deciding to do that at the time we did, really put us in a perfect position as COVID hit. Because a lot of what we do now is off-site, and it's kind of taken every bit of this long to, get it figured out and get it accepted into these projects. It's really the pandemic's awful, but just happened that we were ready for it in that aspect, and it kind of put us ahead of some competition. Crane College has been something that I've taken on as kind of a project over the last few years, and we've really seen it gain momentum. It's a 3-year program for the guys. It starts at how to read a tape measure, and by year 3, you're being trained to run your own crew. And over the past couple of years, that's really taken off, and it's starting to show in what we do. Ty's been working really hard on implementing the one man, one task initiative, and it's starting to catch on. And as it does, I mean, he was completely right about it. The production shows, and it couldn't work better with this pandemic. So a lot of what we've been working on kind of lined up to benefit us during this COVID deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the game changers that, I mean, Cody's mentioned several already, but, we historically opened offices in smaller markets. And here recently, we've opened a Nashville office and a Melbourne, Florida office. We decided that those were going to be 2 hot markets for a long period of time. Florida specifically, the whole state of Florida is booming. And so we decided to go down there, chase drywall work, but also metal panel work. So that's another game changer is focusing on the work that's not necessarily commodity work. So hanging drywall has become a commodity and super competitive, and we're still going to do that. That's what this company was built on. But the load-bearing panelization, the stove panels, the type work that not just any company can do, and then metal panels. Those are 3 big items that we are going after hard, and really kind of the vision of our company is to move in that direction to where we're still doing the trades that we do, and we're still feeding the beast that the company is, but we're laser focused on load-bearing panelization, on prefabricated exterior walls, and on metal panels. And so going into those new markets and focusing on new dynamics, new scopes, or not necessarily new scopes, but new types of work that not just anybody can do, and that could really set us up to be the authority on those type of work, load bearing and metal panels. That's where we're going. That's what we're both excited about. Cody's got a little more metal panel background than I do, and I've been neck deep in this load bearing stuff. We just both enjoy those phases of work. And so the new markets and chasing those new scopes, that's game changing for us.
Yeah.
And it's going to start showing soon.
Well, good deal, guys. I guess last question I have for y'all is, what advice would you give, other people that are in your positions, that are in family businesses? Any advice for them?
Family business, yeah. So there's a stigma that the 3rd generation always fails. We're 4th generation, but I think a big reason that the 3rd generation fails is everybody wants to do it the way my grandfather did it. We're not going to change what our grandfather built. We're not going to change what our dad did, but times change and the construction industry's changed. And so while we want to keep our core values and exactly what my grandfather instilled in FL Crane and what my dad was raised up in and kept in FL Crane, we want to keep all those values, but we've got to change with the industry. And so you can't be stuck in, oh, well, that's the way it was always done and we're not changing. That's not the way it works anymore. And that's why the 3rd generation fails. So for us to keep something for our sons to carry on, I know Cody and I, we're willing to make the necessary changes, but to keep the core values intact.
Solid advice.
Yes, that's and you're going to get pushback with that, but you got to be able to make a call for the better of the whole. One thing I would say would be, try to make a point to work as hard as you can and gain as much respect from your fellow employees as you can, and take care of your employees. They've been here, most of them longer than you have. Take care of those guys, and they're always going to take care of you. And if you're working with a civil one, figure out what you're good at and stay in your lane, but always be there to back one another up, and never let your company see you, not on the same side with each other. Can't let them get any sort of a doubt. Keep them positive and just do the right thing for the company. I see a lot of people that, they're young and coming into a big role in a company, and some of them take it as an opportunity to fill their pocket full of money, and it's not what's best for the company. So always do whatever's best for the company as a whole. And, that's how you continue your grandfather, and father's legacy is, whatever you must do for the company. That's priority number one, period.
All right, well said, you two. Well, thank you all for being on the show. And if you like what you heard today, be sure and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and our website, coupleofsubs.com. And you can find FL Crane everywhere as well.
Yeah, we're on Instagram at FL Crane Fulton. We are flcrane.com. We have Facebook pages, but you can get to about any of that from flcrane.com, and basically get to any of them from that website.
All right, good deal.
No,
Well,
thanks for having me.
thank y'all.
Thanks, brother.